Welcome. Take a slow breath and allow yourself to arrive fully in this moment. There are teachings that inform the mind, and there are teachings that inspire the heart. And then there are teachings that awaken the living energy of your being. This book belongs to the third kind. It is not merely about healing techniques, not merely about subtle energy, and not merely about ancient traditions of spiritual practice. It is about the rediscovery of a fundamental truth, that life itself is movement of energy, and that consciousness can learn to participate in this movement consciously, intentionally, and harmoniously. This book is an initiatory doorway into the understanding and direct experience of healing magnetism, a knowledge that has accompanied humanity since the earliest times, long before science, long before medicine, long before philosophy tried to explain life. Human beings have always known that the hands can heal, that attention can transform, that intention can influence the subtle fabric of life. Across cultures, across centuries, across spiritual traditions, there has always been the recognition that the human being is not merely a physical organism, but a living energy field, a dynamic system of forces, a bridge between spirit, soul, and matter. This book invites you to rediscover that living system within yourself, not intellectually, but experientially. At its deepest level, the purpose of this work is to restore a forgotten perception of reality. Modern culture teaches us to see the world as material and mechanical. Ancient wisdom teaches us to see the world as energetic and alive. Between these two views lies a profound tension, and also an immense opportunity. Healing magnetism stands at the threshold. It reveals that health is not merely biochemical balance, it is energetic harmony. It reveals that illness is not merely physical dysfunction, it is disturbance in the flow, the quantity or quality of life energy. And it reveals that the human being possesses the capacity to consciously influence this energy, within oneself and within others. This is the deeper purpose of the book, to reawaken energetic awareness, and to restore conscious participation in the universal exchange of life force. As you move through the teachings, you begin to sense that healing magnetism is not simply a technique. It is a path of perception, of refinement, and of responsibility. First, you learn to recognize the human being as an energy system, interwoven with nature, environment, emotion, and consciousness. Then you begin to perceive the structure of the system, its flows, its blockages, its rhythms. Gradually, sensitivity develops. Your hands begin to feel what cannot be seen. Your awareness begins to notice what cannot be measured. Your intuition begins to guide what cannot be calculated. This is the beginning of energetic literacy. And from this literacy arises the capacity for transformation. The initiatory movement of the teachings unfolds in several inner stages. First comes recognition. You realize that life energy is real, not symbolic, not metaphorical, but experiential. Then comes activation. You learn to sense, accumulate, and direct this energy consciously. Then comes purification. You begin to release stagnant or disharmonious energetic patterns. And then comes harmonization. Energy flows more freely, more coherently, more intelligently. And finally, integration. You no longer work with energy as something separate from yourself. You become a conscious participant in the universal circulation of life force. Healing then ceases to be an intervention. It becomes a natural expression of alignment. The book introduces many principles that support this transformation. One of the central insights is that life energy is everywhere. It surrounds us constantly like the air we breathe. But unlike air, it responds directly to consciousness, to attention, to imagination, to intention. Where awareness goes, energy follows. Where energy flows, transformation begins. Through simple yet profound practices, especially conscious breathing, you learn to absorb, accumulate, and circulate vital force. Not forcefully, not artificially, but naturally, as participation in a universal energetic metabolism. You begin to experience that vitality can increase, clarity can deepen, self-healing processes can awaken. Energy becomes nourishment, not only for the body, but for the mind and soul. Another key principle is energetic balance. Energy can be deficient, it can be excessive, it can be stagnant, it can be disharmonious. The task of healing magnetism is not to impose something artificial, but to restore natural equilibrium. This happens through cleansing, through vitalization, through distribution, through polarity. You learn how energy can be removed, how fresh energy can be introduced, how polar forces interact, how subtle fields reorganize themselves according to natural laws. Gradually you begin to understand that healing is not something you create. It is something you allow. You support the intelligence already present within life itself. As this path unfolds, inner experiences naturally arise. You may feel warmth or pressure in the hands. You may sense currents or waves moving through the body. You may experience heightened presence, clarity, or calm. Sometimes there is deep relaxation or emotional release. Sometimes a quiet expansion of awareness. These are not goals, they are signs of movement, signs of rebalancing, signs that the living system is responding. Over time, sensitivity becomes subtle, refined, and precise. Energy becomes not an idea, but a language you can feel. Why is this knowledge so relevant today? Because modern life fragments attention, depletes vitality, and disconnects human beings from natural energetic rhythms. Artificial environments, constant stimulation, emotional overload, and mental tension. All of these influence the energy system. Many people feel tired without physical cause, restless without reason, disconnected from themselves. Healing magnetism restores something fundamental, energetic self-regulation. It returns agency to the individual. It restores participation in nature's living processes. It reconnects consciousness with the subtle dimension of life. In an age of disconnection, this is not optional wisdom. It is essential. Who is this book for? It is for those who sense that life is more than material processes, for those who feel drawn to healing, not only of the body but of the whole human being, for those who wish to understand energy not as theory but as lived experience, for seekers, healers, therapists, for mystics, and for anyone who feels the quiet intuition that consciousness and energy are inseparable. This is not a book for passive reading, it is a book for practice, for observation, for experimentation, for inner development. Ultimately, the teachings support awakening in a very practical way. They awaken sensitivity to subtle reality. They awaken responsibility for one's energetic state. They awaken the recognition that consciousness shapes experience at the most fundamental level. And from this awakening arises mastery, not control over life, but harmony with it. Inner mastery means that energy flows freely, that awareness is stable, that presence becomes healing in itself. This is the deeper transmission of the book. Not techniques, but alignment, not information, but participation in the living field of life. If you feel resonance with these teachings, if something within you recognizes this language, then allow this to be the beginning of your exploration. Read the book slowly, practice gently, observe carefully, experience directly. If you wish to go deeper, you can enter structured initiatory training through 4 mystics, where these principles become lived transformation. And if you feel called to walk a dedicated spiritual path, you are welcome within the living current of Ordo Mysticus, a field of ongoing development, practice, and inner mastery. The path is open. Walk it with awareness, with humility, and with devotion to truth. In love, light, and service, I am Ray del Sol.